Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I've got a very interesting video for you today. Something I don't think I've ever had to do. Never had the pleasure or opportunity of doing such a thing. I met somebody through a subscriber that has one of the most incredible extraterrestrial encounter slash abductee stories. One of the top ones I've ever heard. It was even on a TV show at one point. I didn't even realize it was that guy until after I reached out to him and started talking with him. And as I was talking with him, it dawned on me, I wonder if this is that guy. He lives in the same state as that one story. So I asked him a couple of things. He said, yeah, that's me. And I'm actually chatting with this guy. Incredible. Before I get into it, and I've got some pictures that he gave me. I don't know if these have ever been uploaded on the internet. Anywhere. I'm not sure. But he said, yeah. I said, hey, would you mind if I share this on my YouTube channel? He said, no, go right ahead. And you can see some ETs in this thing. Like some orbs and stuff. Pretty fascinating stuff. But before I get into it, I still want to talk about something real quick. You remember when the government came out and said, we're going to raise the minimum wage to $15 and all that stuff. We're going to try that out, right? And everybody, as in alternative media, said that's not a good idea. Again, these are starter jobs. You're a kid just out of high school. Maybe you're still in high school. It's a stepping stone. It's not a career. They're real low minimum wage for a reason. And we all made a prediction. I remember doing some of the videos myself talking about this. They are going to replace people with robots. And I've said at one point, I said, I understand where there should be a lower limit that's higher than what it is now. Like they say $15 an hour. Because my theory is that a single person should be able to afford a house or rent, 1-bedroom house, 1-bedroom rent, etc. And the basic bills that go with it. Electric, internet these days, right? The basic stuff. You should be able to afford that on your own. And that was why I kind of argued with it. Like, I understand. However, fast food is fast food. They can't jack their prices up on their food a lot. Because you're going to say, why am I wasting my time on fast food? I can go sit down in a restaurant for this price. So what are they going to do? Replace employees with more robots. So breaking news, barely. Minimum wage massacre. Wendy's unleashes 1,000 robots, if you will, to counter higher labor costs. And yet another awkwardly rational response, completely rational, to government intervention in deciding what's fair. The blowback from minimum wage demanding fast food workers has struck again. Wendy's plans to install self-ordering kiosks in 1,000 of its stores, 16% of its locations nationwide, by the way. Last year was tough, 5% wage inflation, said Bob Wright, Wendy's chief operating officer. During his presentation to investors and analysts last week, he added that the company expects wages to rise 4% in 2017. But the real question, he says, is what are we doing about it? Well, what are they doing about it? We're going to put some more robots in place of human beings. I don't know how many times I have to say this. This is not going to end well. When machines and things are replacing human jobs, where do those humans go for work? Oh, they get another job. Okay. When there's too many humans and not enough jobs, then what happens? We got some major problems, don't we? I'm thankful. I have a job, and I have my faithful subscribers on YouTube to talk to. I don't have to worry about something like this right now, and hopefully I never do, and hopefully you guys don't either, but I already know some of you have because you've emailed me to tell me some of your stories, unfortunately, and I hate to hear that. But anyways, wanted to cover that. So one of my subscribers, this is at least probably a month ago or more. Yeah, maybe early January. I'm not really sure, somewhere around there. And he says to me, man, I got something that's crazy I want to show you. And I think he said he had a girlfriend, not a wife. So I think he said it was on his girlfriend's phone. He said, she's been having what she thinks is, I guess, I don't know if you want to call it an abduction or just contactee type stuff, something. And at first he didn't believe her, yada yada yada. But then he started wondering about some things because some interesting things had happened, I guess, with him or in her mainly. And she texts him one day and says, "Did you put that on my phone?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "You know what I'm talking about, the picture." And he's like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." So she texted the picture back to him, and it was like of a entity kind of a thing, ET, but it was like really, really super blurry. Kind of like if you take your phone out in the middle of the night and try to take a picture of yourself, it can't really adjust. So the flash comes on, but it still is blurry, that kind of a thing. I guess depending on the phone you have. So it was a really poor quality picture. And he shared it with me. I don't know if I had, and I didn't really ask if I could share it with anybody else, but so it doesn't ruin anything for you. It's nothing. It was really blurry. It was standing in a doorway. You could easily say, well, I don't know if that's real. That could be fake. It's one of those where you could say that. But nonetheless, it was interesting to me. And he mentioned he talked to another guy, and that's the guy I want to talk about this. And they were friends on Facebook or something. And I don't know if I asked him if he would mind if I contacted the guy or how it went. But anyways, I was able to contact the guy. And we're chatting, and he's telling me about this, his story a little bit. And he's has some pictures he wanted to share me. I got 22 pictures I want to share with you in a second. But the story, and this is me remembering from years ago when I first heard it on like the Discovery Channel or History Channel, one of these shows. His name is Chris Bledsoe, Jr., I think, or senior maybe. Maybe he's senior. And it was him, his son, and like 2 or 3 other friends of theirs. And his son was I think at the time, 16, 18 years old, somewhere around there. They went to their fishing spot and remember seeing some lights in the sky, that kind of thing. And I think he went to go kind of check it out and basically went missing for, I think, 3 hours or something like that, or at least a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours. And when he came back, he didn't remember anything. He didn't realize he was gone, I think, but he couldn't find his son or his fishing buddy. So he was like, "Where's everybody go?" So he went running looking for his son. Found his son like crouched down somewhere hiding, absolutely terrified. He was crying. I think that's how it went, or maybe it was the other way around, where the son found him crouched and crying. Again, I'm trying to go back a few years of the story because he didn't rehash the story with me. I started remembering some of it and like, was that? He's like, "Yeah, that was me." I was like, "Oh my God, that was one of my favorite like UFO contactee stories ever." I don't know what they call it. They're like, the fire in the sky, the 7 missing guys that went into the woods, the lumberjacks, and remember that story from I think the 70s or 80s. There's no name of it, I don't think. But if you look up his name and you can find it online, you could read the whole story. It's really fascinating. And I remember on the TV show or the documentary or whatever it was, where they had him under hypnosis and everything, he recalled the story. And I remember him talking about how they came down, and I think this was after the original contact, and they were like, "Well, what are they doing?" He's like, "Oh, he has his children with him. Yeah, he just wants to he's going to let them out and play. He just wants to let them out and play. Yeah, they just want to play." And they're describing, he's like, "All right, well, describe the being." And he's, it has this red eyes, and his dogs went running after this thing in the woods. And that's what prompted him to go out there. And he saw this thing, and it scared him. But apparently now these things are all around his house in like orb fashion, especially. So I was fascinated by that story. I was happy I could reach out to the guy because I was like, "Hey, is there any way maybe I could get you on my Realist News YouTube channel?" And he says, "I'm actually kind of in the middle of something, has to do with TV and or Hollywood, and I can't really discuss much of it. There may be a deal kind of a thing coming for me." Basically a his story kind of a thing, I guess. I don't know if they're going to make a movie or another documentary. I have no idea. He wouldn't tell me. But something, and he's like, I can't really rehash the story again until I figure out what the deal is going to be, because I can't, part of it's me stopping doing interviews and things for the time being, something like that. So I was like, "All right, well, cool. I appreciate you talking to me and everything." Real nice guy, super nice guy. And So he's like, oh, here, check this out. He sent me a little video from his phone, and it's 3 minutes long or so. And I was going to grab that too and add it to this video, but I said, I don't know. It's essentially looking way out in the sky like a star-looking thing, way out there. It moves a little bit. You could argue it's something else. It's a plane. It's this. It's that. I get it. And I said, well, I'm going to leave that one out. It's not really anything fascinating about that, even though I have a feeling it is what he thinks it is, based off of the images he's shown me around his house. He's like, oh yeah, we just took these not that long ago, like just the other day. I'll upload them here. So check this out. And he went one by one, and I'm looking at some of these orbs, and it looks like there's an alien face. There's 3 alien things in one, and it's orbs. It's really fascinating. So let me start with number 1. Let me switch over so you can see this. And that's the first one he sent. Now, if you look where my mouse is, 1, look at the eyeballs. There's an eyeball here, here. Here's like another one that's not too good looking. But then there's like another one here, and it almost like it has maybe legs. But it's almost, when you look at this, it's almost like a ghostly or like, you know what I mean, like wavy kind of a form, but it's inside this orb. So that's the orb that he sent. It's really weird. So the next one is a tree, like either in a, somewhere next to his house, backyard, side yard, front yard, somewhere. And look at the mist stuff. And I'm not sure if you can see this. See where my mouse is? This little object. And I don't know how big this video is for you, but this looks like some kind of metal, like a yardstick or something. Like a 3 foot or a 3 foot yardstick you used to see in school. A little bit bigger than that, but it's in the smoke or whatever this stuff is, and there's no bottom to it. And clearly there's light here. You can see the light. So I'm like, what exactly is that, back there? Because that's a solid object inside of this smoky, misty stuff. So that's, again, that's kind of odd to me. Next. And maybe this is a close-up of that. Let's see. Yeah, this is a close-up of the upper left corner of that. And I see actually 3 or so, maybe more, possible faces of something. All right, so I'm going to move my mouse to the first one. This looks more of a human face right here. It's kind of tilted just a little bit. It looks kind of like a human face. And then as I looked up, turned my head a little bit to the right, I see this one. This is tilted even more, like the other one, but more. And I thought that was it at first, but then I tilted my head to the left this time. And then up here, this is real iffy up here. I don't know what to make of this. It almost looks like you could say kind of an eyeball here, and then maybe something. Again, that's a real hard call on that one. Even this little thing over here to the left almost looks like a partial face, but I don't know what to make of this. I just thought it was neat. So I'm going to go to the next one. This is kind of that one where I was telling you before, there are like these 3 things. Eyeball, mouth, nose or something, head. This one is really kind of messed up looking, but the next one almost looks like, body and then legs of some type, right? And this is all inside of like this orb thing. So the next one, I think that was a zoomed in view of the middle of that orb. Not sure what that is really. That's the right side zoomed in of that orb. Again, it almost looks like he's creeping, like this alien or ET is creeping and looking right at you, It's very weird. This one, just an orb with a green thing in the middle, greenish colored orb. But there's another one that's really neat. And I'm just kind of looking. I don't know if you can see that. And I thought at first maybe it was pixelation. I'm going to zoom in. But if you look at this, because at first it looks like, it's just pixelation, when you start to really zoom into a picture. But I was like, kind of looking at it before, and I was like, it almost looks like a little circuit board, circuitry on a circuit board. You can kind of see these sharp line this way, then down, then it cuts off to the right. not normal things in nature. You know what I mean? Like you can see clear angles and things like that. So I thought that was kind of odd, you know? Let's see. Next one is this one. This I don't know what to make of. And again, these are supposedly, I mean, you can look at it. This is an orb. It's more of a yellowish one. What is this thing? You know, what is that? I don't know. Next one. Now this one I thought was really, really neat. You can see nose, slit of a mouth, at least one eye, and it looks like the other eye, but as this, you know, light or whatever this is over here so sharp or bright, it kind of covers that other one up. But to me, this is eyeball, nose, slit type of mouth, and you can see another eye, but it's not real good because, again, the light. So I saw that orb, and I was like, that's really neat. That is cool. And that's the one I really looked at a lot because, I mean, that's just, if that's not a face, come on, what is that? Inside of a, you know, an orb? There's that green thing again, different view. Another one. Almost looks like something, like a ball inside of a ball kind of a thing with holes in it. But again, if you look at, like, for example, right here, this is almost like a octagon or whatever kind of shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, actually 6 sides. So was that hex? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For an orb to have that, you know what I mean? That's just odd. I don't see a face though exactly. Actually, I kind of do. It looks like a human, more of a human face. This is the first time I actually noticed that in this picture. All right, I'm going to circle it. Just like this. Nose, eye, mouth. Almost like it was eating something or had its, you know, almost looked like something was going in its mouth or, you know, something. I don't know. And here's another one. And if you look close, this looks like this is an ET eyeball. And it's as if, as you look at these, and you start to see the facial features, to me anyways, it's like very clear that these are different races, if you will, different types, not even just races, because even human races, we all look very similar. These, I think, are different species. I mean, look at this one, big circular eye, another eye over here, again, a nose and a mouth. And it happens to be inside these freaking orbs. You know, this is just interesting as heck. And here's another one. I don't know if it's the same orb or a different one. Is that an eye? This is a hard one to look at and tell. We'll just kind of skip over that one. This, to me, at first, like, what was that, the moon? I'm like, well, no, it's in front of the trees. And you look at it, you know, again, if you turn your head a little bit to the right and look at it, I'm seeing eyeball, nose, kind of an open mouth. More human looking than the other ones, I'd say. Oh, there's a better picture. Here's a less brightness, I guess, on this one. That looks like a face to me. This one's hard to tell. Kind of skip over that one. This was interesting because you see this giant shadow thing right here. And it's got this weird light face thing. I believe me, I get it. You could easily say, oh, this is someone standing there faking it. Yes, you could say that. Here's a close-up of the face thing, whatever it happens to be. But that's an interesting, you see 1, 2, 3 orbs for the eyeballs, let's say. And then it looks like several all around the mouth. It's hard to count how many are there. At least 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. And this one on top of it. So, and these could be all those orbs we just looked at. I don't know. This, I'm not sure if this was looking into the sky or whatever, but it does to me look like, you know, if someone would say it was a spacecraft of some kind, you could say that. Or if it was just a streak of these orbs flying across, you could say that. It's hard. Again, this is a bad picture in the middle of the night. That's what you get when you use a cell phone, though, you know. And then these pictures, I'm not sure where he was when this was taken, if this is part of his house or right down the street, a highway, I'm not sure. But obviously this triple decker thing, when I look over to the left, this looks like just rain pouring down. Same with this area to the right. Although this is odd for rain to be that straight in this one little area, it still looks like rain to me. But this thing, 1, 2, 3, is this thing taking off and blurring because it's going so fast, or is it literally a triple decker craft of some kind and it's just either hovering or taking off? I don't know. And then the next picture, which is interesting because this streak I was telling you about that I thought might be rain, and then the craft, let's look at that. It's gone, the craft's gone, but the rain stuff over here is still here that we saw in the background. That stuff's still there. And then the final picture was this one again, I think. Which again, eyeballs. This thing, I mean, honestly, it almost looks like a freaking duckling, or not a duckling, a goose. It looks like a goose head, doesn't it? And then some other being or whatever this is back here standing. I don't know what, I don't know. Is this, like, I look at this kind of stuff, especially the ones I just sent you with these things inside these orbs. And I think, we've always heard about crop circles and things like that and how they show up over farmland, usually somewhere in the UK area or whatever. And people go to bed, they wake up in this big elaborate thing. Do you remember the face, the alien face with the disc in its hand with binary code? That was literally a 3-dimensional picture inside of a cornfield or whatever. There's not a chance in hell you will ever convince me that some humans in the middle of the night went out with boards and string and made a 3-dimensional binary code alien face holding a disc. And that was the one I mentioned a few times. Much pain, but still time. Talking to us. Much pain. Beware of the bringers of false hopes and promises. Much pain, but still time. Conduit closing bell sound, or bell sound conduit closing. Something like that is what the binary code said. That was fascinating to me, like a most incredible crop circle. But the stories are always that, there was these glowing orbs over the field that night before, that kind of thing. So, and this is just me thinking out loud. And let's, for example, go back to this last one I left up. This picture. If you had some kind of incredible technology, and again, this is me going way out there, like beyond webbot woo-woo, like beyond that, okay? Beyond space goats farts. And let's say they are somewhere, whether it's in a spacecraft way far away from Earth, or just above Earth, or maybe hovering in the sky, or literally extremely far away, like we're a speck of dots, planetary-wise where they are. But the technology allows them to have these kind of orb things. Maybe they brought them to the planet, or they get here somehow through quantum physics, perhaps. And I say that because how particles can just start here and appear over there with quantum physics. They don't know how it gets from A to B because it doesn't go through a straight shot. It's just here 1 minute and then it blinks and it's over there, that kind of thing. So if these little balls or particles, wherever they are, blink, let's say over here, or however they get them here, and they can use it to look through the thing, right? The ball, the orb, to see what's on the other side, completely safe. They're not going to be captured or hurt, right? And we happen to take a snapshot up close, and this is what we see. We're like peering into, what you might call a time travel portal, or or just a portal, if you will, to them. And they're looking back. There's 3 of them. Hey, let's see what let's see what old Mr. Bledsoe's doing. I mean, I don't know. I'm just speculating here. This is crazy. But doesn't it look like every one of those pictures was like they're looking out. They're looking out to see what's on the other side of the orb, if you will. And this is like in the middle of the night. This guy, he's like, man, I'm having these orbs all over my property all the time. He's like, I just collected some of these. I'll send it to you. And he did. And I've been waiting over a month to do this video. I just felt today at work, man, do that video. You've been holding off on that. A lot of people will want to see this, even though it's insane. It's incredible. It's woo woo, it's whatever, and I'm going to get some serious haters. I don't care about the haters. I want to share you what the guy gave me. He took lie detector tests. He took all kinds of things. And I think one thing was inconclusive, or something that was inconclusive on the lie detector test. But again, lie detector tests can have many times show people with inconclusive answers that doesn't matter. They're still telling the truth. So yeah, I just want to share that with you, and tell me what you think about that. Take care.